stole it.
It wouldn't be a stretch to say that if any Descendants character was rotten to the core, it'd be Princess Audrey. Disney's The Descendants franchise has turned the tables when it comes to the traditional concept of heroes and villains, and we're pretty sure a fourth part would definitely follow in those same footsteps, especially when it comes to dealing with Princess Audrey. Have you been doubting this anti-hero's rise back to the good side? Well, you're not alone.
How could you forget that I was supposed to be your queen?
Audrey has never been the nicest person, and her quick rendezvous with Maleficent's power totally proved that this girl has more bad in her than we probably even know. So what exactly would Audrey's future look like in a Descendants 4? Will she ever get a happy ending like her former classmates, or will she be the Queen of Mean forever?
It's time for a little payback.
Audrey definitely made up for lost time in The Descendants 3 after not appearing in the second film at all, and the creators took advantage of her reappearance. In fact, them making their classic mean girl an actual villain is actually kind of ironic and hilarious.
Happy birthday to you.
Imagine actual mean girl Regina George suddenly growing purple hair and cursing everyone in sight. People would pay to see that. Anyway, the point is that even before Audrey embraced Maleficent's powers and became the Queen of Mean, her intentions were never good. In fact, the reason she got herself into the whole ordeal in the first place was because she was planning on destroying the royal crown. So why should we be so sure that she would not continue her revenge on Mal and the rest of the villain's kids in a potential fourth film?
How long does she think that's gonna last? Mal's just the bad girl infatuation.
She spent the entire first movie terrorizing Mal and making fun of her for having a crush on Ben and just being Maleficent's daughter in general. Some might sympathize that she had everything taken away from her, but Karma was definitely laughing somewhere in the corner. And at the end of the first film, she might have made up with Mal and danced her way gracefully into the sunset with the rest of the gang, but her reaction to Mal and Ben's engagement in the beginning of the third film really showed that she still hated Mal with a passion.
You spelled Ben to destroy all of Oridon.
I mean, you can't really get much more bitter than that, right? Wrong. She totally took her jealousy to the next level. So if she's faked being on good terms with Mal and the villain's kids before, who says that she did not do the same at the end of the third film? The truth is, we're just not buying her whole "I'm so thankful you saved me, I'll never do it again" vibe. Does anyone else think that she grasped onto the evil persona rather quickly? Not to mention that she seemed to really like being the Queen of Mean. She was straight vibing. Don't agree with us? Hey, that's cool. But you might want to believe the actress who played Audrey, Sarah Jeffrey. Just like we are, TV Line was very interested to hear just what she thought of Audrey's evilness and whether or not it existed without her being possessed. Sarah did not hold back. In fact, she admitted that good can exist in bad, and bad can exist in good. She also warned that when it comes to Audrey's character, it's not black and white. So all in all, we're pretty confident that getting her revenge on Mal, Ben, and the rest of the villain kids is actually a smart way to incorporate a Descendants 4 into the franchise. I mean, Audrey can't be happy that magic is allowed on the Isle of the Lost now, especially if she is still holding on to the remnants of her perfect life before Mal. What do you think about the possibility that Audrey is still evil? Do you think that she's still holding on to her grudge against Mal and the rest of the villain's kids? We don't know about you, but if someone took away our potential happy ending, our grudge wouldn't just fade just because we were possessed by the powers of Maleficent. As we all know, the world of the Descendants is not just full of fairy tale happy endings. In fact, it's very possible that Audrey's classic happy ending is at stake, especially if we consider this option for a part 4 of the franchise. While the films have given us plenty of villains to ponder over in this universe, there are still many that have been left out, and others whose stories don't seem to be quite finished. So what are the odds that Audrey might team up with a villain in the future in order to fulfill her evil motives against Mal and Ben? We're saying that they're pretty good. In fact, The Descendants 3 left a lot of Easter eggs that fully support Audrey's Queen of Mean persona actually turning into a Queen of Mean squad.
You'll forgive me? I don't think so.
We all love to hate Captain Hook's son Harry Hook, but deep down, we all know that we'd probably date him in a second if you ask. So can we really blame Audrey for that little cute meeting they had at the end of the last film? You might think that saying Audrey, grabbing him as her dance partner, and him eyeing her means that they'll be forming a team evil is a stretch, but is it Rule of thumb usually is that everything in a film happens for a reason. We know, you're probably saying, but Harry is totally in love with Uma. And while we totally agree with you, we also think that Hook Jr. would also do anything in his power to get the treasure he has his eyes on. So if dating Audrey is the way to do that, it's totally plausible. We can even take it a step further and say that maybe Audrey teams up with the entire crew. While they did help out Mal in the Descendants 3 and ended up on good terms, we've learned that anything is possible when it comes to the villains' kids, especially when it comes to them being influenced by their evil parents, so who knows. It would be an interesting concept to show that not only the villains' kids are susceptible to becoming evil, evil can truly be found in everyone. Speaking of Audrey's teaming up with villains, did everyone forget about Maleficent and her goals? Could the Descendants 3 totally have been an entire foreshadow of what's to come in Part 4, or even a spin-off? The whole plot of Audrey stealing a magic wand in order to get revenge is basically Maleficent's plan from the first film, just a different wand. Not to mention, Audrey literally took on Maleficent's magic. Could Audrey be the daughter Maleficent was always looking for? Could a potential Maleficent return mean a team up with Audrey? Maleficent no doubt wants to take down her daughter after everything that's happened, meaning they also have a common goal. That would cross out Audrey's happy ending for sure. Just picture it, the Queen of Mean and Maleficent crashing the royal wedding between Mal and Ben. How iconic, if you're into that sort of thing. We can already see the fairy godmother's shocked face now, and we're kind of here for it. Like we touched on before, the villains now being able to cross over into Auradon freely, not to mention use their magic, is no doubt going to come with consequences. And just how will those consequences affect Audrey? Or maybe it'll benefit her? We'll just have to wait and see. So, taking all these theories into consideration, what are the actual odds that we'll be getting a Part 4 or spin-off in the future? Well, we dug even deeper into some behind-the-scenes info, and we're gonna say it's pretty safe to keep hope alive. While there was definitely some doubt around another installment after the tragic loss of Cameron Boyce back in 2019, the cast has since stepped forward to dish everything they know about a possible continuation. In an interview with ET Online, star Dove Cameron says that she understandably doesn't love the idea of doing it without Cameron, but that another installment is definitely not out of the question. In fact, she mentioned that the next part will probably continue on in a different incarnation. A spin-off, maybe? More specifically, an Audrey spin-off? It would explain why the last Descendants movie was very Audrey-focused. The creators are potentially not finished telling the story of her character arc. Sarah herself spoke about how Audrey would move forward in another part. She says she feels like Descendants 4 could totally happen, but also a spin-off could happen. She even went into detail describing what she thinks that spin-off could look like. She gushed that the spin-off could include new characters and new daughters and sons of princesses and princes and other villains, finishing off with the fact that with the Descendants, there are truly endless possibilities. When it came to how Audrey would fit in, she said that moving forward, Audrey definitely has a lot of damage control to do after her past actions. So it seems like even Sarah is certain that Audrey's Queen of Mean days aren't exactly behind her. It's funny that Sarah mentioned a new generation of fairy tale characters, because that could totally fit in with her story perfectly. Remember our theory about how Audrey is still not over her grudge? Well, what if that carries on into the next generation? If Audrey and Harry or any other villain end up having children, they could potentially still carry the hate their mother did for Mal and Ben's children. It's basically the Descendants 3.0, and we'd get to see our favorite characters' kids. I mean, can you imagine Evie and Doug's children? Adorable. The spin-off could also include characters like Dizzy and Celia. We may or may not be getting a little too excited about the possibilities. All in all, this type of spin-off is right up the Descendants franchise alley. It is, after all, basically the plot of the first film, but isn't every reboot like that? Hey, we're not complaining.
What is wrong with you people?
So maybe Audrey still has a lot of development to do when it comes to dealing with the bad parts of herself, but will all of this prevent her happy ending? Or can villains still get those? We've seen Mal overcome the evil that she thought she inherited, but was she ever truly evil like Audrey seems to be? Maybe Audrey's happy ending is embracing her evil, and Disney will surprise us with yet another twist. It would definitely show how complicated humans are when it comes to moral compasses. Or maybe she'll stay as the anti-hero. Not quite the villain, but not quite saving the day type either. Could her true home happy ending possibly be waiting on the Isle of the Lost instead of Auradon? Either way, an iteration of the Descendants involving Audrey is no doubt going to be entertaining.
Were you expecting someone else?
Do you think that she'll eventually get the fairy tale, or is she too set on revenge? What about her apology? Do you think that she's back to the good side for good? What could a potential sequel look like for this princess? Let us know all your villainous thoughts in the comments section below. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a big thumbs up.